1, 2, 3. Yeah. 4, 5, 6.
The Eagles hung together, and then they pulled off the upset of the season in New England. But now, it's a visit from a very familiar face.
Shady McCoy with brilliant running.
While Shady returns, the questions about the Birds' backfield mount.
He did not go to the owner. He sat next to the owner on the plane.
And a side to the man they call Mufasa you rarely see.
I knew that I didn't want that to be my last snap of football.
Let's get crazy on this edition of Eagles Game Day Kickoff, starting right now. NBC 10 presents Eagles Game Day Kickoff.
Hey everybody, welcome to Eagles Game Day Kickoff in our Eagles Network studios. I am John Clark, and this is a huge one today. Of course, the Eagles are in first place at 5-7, so it's big for that reason, but it is also the return of the Eagles' all-time leading rusher, LaShawn McCoy. Chip Kelly traded him in the offseason to Buffalo for Kiko Alonso, and you know Shady wants to win this one. All week he's been telling his Bills teammates, I need you guys this week. So with more on the Shady matchup and everything else, here's NBC 10's Keith Jones with Key Questions.
Eagles Key Questions, presented by Sports Authority, official sporting goods retailer of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Y'all know who next.
That just minutes after last Sunday's win by the Bills. By midweek, the questions to Shady McCoy turned personal, specifically how he'll handle seeing Chip Kelly today.
I'm not talking to Chip. You know, we got nothing to talk about. He can't call me. He can't shake my hand. There's nothing he can do with me. You know, he can't say to me. So, that's simple as that.
Okay then, so Shady remains displeased with Kelly. The Eagles coach takes the blame himself for how the offseason blockbuster trade went down.
And I understand why he's bothered. He was an all-time leading running back here. I felt like he was disrespected, and it was wrong. And because I was part of it, then it's on me. And I understand why he's not happy about it, and he should not be happy about it. And that's what I would apologize for that.
Shady was far from the only running back tackling questions this week. After last Sunday's win, DeMarco Murray, who is not a big part of the game plan, rode home on the team plane next to Jeffrey Lurie. ESPN reports it was to discuss his usage or lack thereof. The report resulted in a barrage of questions at Murray's locker Thursday.
Michael, what did you and Lurie talk about on the plane ride back from Boston?
That's between Mr. Lurie and myself.
He did not go to the owner. He sat next to the owner on the plane, so he didn't specifically go to Mr. Lurie and say, I need to request a meeting.
All of this the backdrop as the Eagles fight for their season, and a shot at first place figures to be a wild one at the Link today.
All right, we are now joined by our player correspondent every week, Malcolm Jenkins, but this week he is the NFC Defensive Player of the Week. Pretty special, huh?
Yeah, it's really special. I always tell everybody I'm just a product of my environment. A lot of the plays that I make are from somebody else's efforts, but it's awesome for not only me, but anybody from our team to get this kind of recognition.
Fires, and it is intercepted. Intercepted, running with it is Jenkins up the near sideline. Malcolm Jenkins is going 99 yards for a touchdown!
Going into that game against the Patriots, the huge upset, you kind of cleared the air, let some things out. And do you think that helped everybody? But you also backed it up, by the way.
It's that time of year where I think everybody's looking for change, and we were at that point where something needed to kind of be said. And although we never like things to kind of go out in the media, because we like to keep things in-house, I think it was, decent timing. And that whole week just felt different.
Speaking of energy, let's show you, and Malcolm hasn't seen this yet, Malcolm Jenkins firing up his Eagles team before the huge upset win at New England.
We done made them put us all in the positions that we want. Yep. Let them give us the freedom to ball like we know we can. So let's take the opportunity, man. Hey, you don't want nothing else than right now. Yep. Play the best quarterback in the league and make them look stupid. Because we work hard, we got a plan, let's execute it every single play. DB's on 3. 1, 2, 3. DB.
No, that wasn't even that bad. That was before I really transformed.
Now those are passionate thoughts. Do you kind of think in your mind of what you're going to say to your guys? Do you have a plan?
Usually,
or does it just come out?
Usually it just comes out. Usually when I talk to the whole team, I'll think about that day while I'm in the locker room of what I want to say. But usually when I'm just talking to the DBs, just whatever's on my mind.
So when you say, let's make the greatest quarterback of all time look stupid, that's just spur of the moment.
Yeah,
it came out.
That's just how I felt at the moment, you know. That's what I wanted to do.
Now, Shady, you played with him here. You know he's going to hold that ball out there sometimes. Is that a point of emphasis that, hey, we can get that ball?
He does a good job with ball security, as crazy as it sounds. You know, right before defenders get there, he does a good job of tucking it. Like I said, the hardest part is getting them on the ground. You know, you can swipe the ball off you want. If you miss the ball, he's going for another 10 yards. And so I think the most important thing is to the first person there has got to wrap him up and get him down. And if he's in a pile or if he's in traffic, then you can get that opportunity where maybe you can punch at the ball and try to get it out.
All right, well, thank you very much, Mr. NFC Defensive Player of the Week, huh?
I appreciate that.
All right. So the kid from Harrisburg certainly left his mark on the Eagles record books. LaShawn is the all-time Eagles leading rusher. He's their single-season rushing leader, their single-game rushing leader, and he has more than 75 yards per game on the ground. That is second most in franchise history, behind Ricky Waters, who actually attended the same high school as Shady. Still to come.
And Matthews into Carolina territory. Out in front. Touchdown, Philadelphia.
Ryan Matthews is ready to return. What does that mean for a crowded Birds backfield? We'll examine that. And later,
through the support of wife and family, I was able to really bounce back from that.
a softer side to D'Amico Ryans. We'll sit down with him and his wife as they open up about life during one of their toughest times. You're watching NBC 10's Eagles Gameday Kickoff. You're watching NBC 10's Eagles Gameday Kickoff.
Time now for our Eagle Eye. Today's game against Buffalo gives us an excuse to show these ridiculous videos of Bills fans tailgating before last week's win over the Texans. There's lots of them. How about fans slamming one another into tables, putting up a miniature backboard and rim, and then dunking mini basketballs on opposing fans? How about dizzy bat leading to the guy falling into a Winnebago? All these shenanigans, they have been posted on social media, and many of them use the Bills Mafia hashtag, which sells paraphernalia, with the proceeds going to a cancer charity. There's some good there coming out of the craziness. Speaking of shenanigans, joining us now, the great Mike Quick. And Mike, the Eagles backfield. Yeah, that's a great word, isn't it?
Okay.
The Eagles backfield. Three's a crowd. And now Ryan Matthews is hopefully going to be back from his concussion. So what happens with Ryan Matthews and DeMarco Murray, who saw diminished carries last week?
Man, that is a really good question, and I know that Deuce Staley is trying to figure this thing out now. He's got all healthy backs in the backfield. You've got a guy who, you paid him to come here to be that guy, the featured guy, and now starting to get less carries, and I know he's not happy. There's a lot of questions surrounding that issue. I don't know. I think it's a big issue. And Deuce Staley, along with Chip Kelly, they have to figure this thing out.
Remember that win over the Dallas Cowboys? It seems so long ago.
I do.
We thought they would follow that up, but 3 straight losses followed that win. Can they take this Patriots win and take it into the last month of the season and get going again?
Well, I'll tell you what, starting with this week, this is not an easy matchup. Offensively, very dynamic. Of course, they've got Shady McCoy. They've got outstanding wide receivers, a really good tight end. And then in the backfield, when they don't want Shady, the Lightning, they've got thumpers coming out of the backfield. So this is a tough matchup. And if they can get by this one, I think they're going to look really good for the last 3 games of the season.
You talked about Shady. 3 of his last 5 games going for over 100 yards, being really productive right now. What kind of reaction do you think he's going to get from Eagle fans? He's the all-time leading rusher for this team.
I think it should be a very warm reaction from the fan base. Shady gave us a lot of really good years and a lot of excitement. I know for Merrill Reese and myself in the booth, it was fun covering Shady McCoy and talking about Shady McCoy on the football field.
Brady back. He steps up. He looks. He starts to run. He's hit. And down he goes.
So obviously they have to slow down LaShawn McCoy, but take a look at what the Eagles defensive line did, Mike Quick. against Tom Brady. Fletcher Cox, he had 8 quarterback hurries, maybe even 12, some would say. He really got it done.
I don't think the stats really show what he did in this game because he was very disruptive in the middle, and it made it easier for the guys around him to make plays. They got the numbers of the stats, but this guy made a big difference in the ballgame. Let me show you this. Nice double team that they try. He splits the double team, gets the pressure coming off the edge, but not just that. Watch this spin move, getting off of the block and flushing Tom Brady out of the pocket. And Vinny Curry, he's the recipient of the sack here, but it's because of the play of Fletcher Cox and the pressure that he was able to put on Tom Brady, getting him out of the pocket. Good team defense.
And Fletcher may not have the sexy stats, but Bill Davis said he could be a defensive player of the year, really.
I believe that as well.
Thank you very much, Mike Quick. He dropped the mic right there. Coming up next here on Eagles Game Day Kickoff.
Hey, you fired me up today. You fired me up today.
Brandon Graham was fired up after the Patriots win. We'll sit down with the Birds linebacker. And we are jumping for joy. This week's Look Back in Eagles history, next.
Here now is a look back in Eagles history, courtesy of Hall of Famer Ray Dittinger.
For this week in Eagles history, we go back to exactly 6 years ago today, December 13th, 2009. A huge win over the Giants that was highlighted by big plays. Sheldon Brown returned a fumble, 60 yards for a touchdown. Later, Deshaun Jackson returned a punt, 72 yards, for another touchdown. Then in the third, after the Giants took a 31-30 lead, Donovan McNabb connected with Jackson on a 60-yard score. Deshaun celebrated with a chest bump to Andy Reid, and the Eagles went on to win 45-38. From the past to the present, Mike Quick sits down with Brandon Graham for this week's exclusive interview.
First thing, holiday season. I know you and your wife had your big toy drive. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, the toy drive was just to raise, money and to get toys for the Children in Child Hospital. And I'll go next Friday to deliver the toys and everything. But we just wanted to put together an event because my mom and me, we've been in the hospital, when I was younger, and we both when we was younger.
Yep.
My mom with leukemia and me with pneumonia twice for Christmas around that time. And, I know what it feels like to be in the hospital during Christmas, and, you kind of feel like people forget about you and stuff like that, especially being there. So we just wanted to raise money, and we partnered up with Zarwin Baum, and, we made it happen.
I know that coming off the field, you saw Mr. Lurie, and you gave him props for firing you up, getting you ready for the game.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Hey, you fired me up today. You fired me up today.
Be angry, man.
Hey, you said what you said earlier. You fired me up.
Just one of them things where if the owner telling you to get going, shoot, man, you better listen to it, because, I felt like it was one of those things where, we was in a 3-game losing streak and we just needed that spark, and he gave me that spark. So I kind of, thanked him afterwards.
You got an old friend coming to town in Shady McCoy. You know he likes to dance. I've already heard you say you don't want to be on his highlight reel.
Oh, no.
How do you prevent that?
Just basically knowing your opponent, as far as, we know he don't want to go up the middle unless it's wide open.
Yep.
We know he love the outside, and he love that backside, the cutback. The cutback. And for me, I got to make sure when I'm on the backside that I'm on his upfield shoulder, because all my help is inside. So if anything, if he's going to cut me up, he's going to cut me up going inside and not bouncing back outside. So just knowing your job and knowing your leverage, and making sure you stay on top of your leverage, because any type of seams, anything, McCoy will bust it up through there.
Happy to see you playing the way you're playing. Best of luck on Sunday.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for me here on Eagles Game Day Kickoff. But coming up next, NBC 10's Jacqueline London gets a chance to sit down with D'Amico Ryans and his lovely wife, Jamila. They've got a great event in Philly tomorrow night to tell you about, and they open up about their life in Philly. That is next.
Eagles Game Day Kickoff, brought to you by Apple Vacations. Go to applevacations.com/Eagles to book your Beach Blitz trip.
Welcome back to Eagles Game Day Kickoff. I'm Jacqueline London. I'm pleased to be joined right now by Sarah Maragos, wife of Eagles safety Chris Maragos, and Jamila Ryans, wife of D'Amico Ryans, Eagles linebacker. We'll have him in just a moment. This is really great. Some of the Eagles wives got together to give back to the community. Tell us what this event is about and why it's so important.
We came up with the idea of doing a pop-up consignment shop and just making it like a real fun event. The guys come out, sign autographs, we have some shopping, some music, just really a festive, just great time.
It's great to see that camaraderie and for you two brainstorming this idea and the people coming forward willing to give back. Are you so excited about this, Sarah?
I think what we're saying is that we just have such a great group of women and a great group of men, and it's cool to see us be able to come together and support the city of Philadelphia.
Was it easy when you went through your closets to try to decide what other people might want or what you wanted to part with?
There may have been a little stealing going on, but
I was kind of in a tug of war with my Gucci bag. I can understand that. And you know, my husband, he has a lot of sneakers, a lot of Nike shoes that he doesn't want to let go of, and there might be a few that sneak into the inventory. Don't tell him.
So, it's an all-day affair tomorrow at Milk Boy in Center City. Beautiful dresses, great watches, cool shoes. All to raise money for great charities like the Vetri Foundation, the St. James School, and the D'Amico Ryans Foundation. And speaking of D'Amico, we couldn't miss the opportunity to get a little personal with the leader of the Eagles defense.
So great to have you back in the mix. You suffered an Achilles injury last November. A lot of people thought that would be the end of your career. Did you think your career was in jeopardy because of that?
No, I mean, one thing when I went down against the Texans that last November, I knew that I didn't want that to be my last snap of football.
How serious was it? You couldn't walk for a period of time, right?
Yeah, definitely couldn't walk. Had crutches, boots, my wife having to help me. I think we set up an air mattress downstairs. I couldn't get up the stairs, so and my wife helped me out a lot. But it's a very difficult process.
And when an injury like that happens, Jamila, and it's the second of D'Amico's career, how difficult is that for you emotionally to handle?
It's rough, especially initially when, you know, they go down and you're like, oh my gosh, who's that? Is that mine? And just not knowing, I think that initial just fear of like, oh my goodness, what is it?
I imagine your first instinct is wanting to run down on the field.
Yes, jump over everybody, run through security, yes, initially.
D'Amico originally came to the Eagles via a trade from the Texans 3 years ago. He says he was excited to play for a winning organization, but this Alabama native wasn't sure what to make of Philadelphia at first.
Never imagined being in Philly, never imagined being up north. My perception is like it's just freezing cold all the time and I wouldn't be able to bear it. Then coming to Philly and just getting a transition to, you know, Broad Street, cars parked all down the middle of the road. That was a shocker for me. It's a little different living in the city, something I'm not used to being in the South. But over time, just started to get used to it, and I grew to really love the city here in Philly.
How about for you, Jamila? How is the city compared to what you expected?
Well, one thing that I was wrong about is the people. You know, down south, you know, Southern hospitality, everybody's nice, and I thought up north, you know, everybody's real crass and real rude. But we have found that like people are just as loving and kind as they are down south.
Oh, well, you're here and you're already doing such a great job giving back to the community with this charity event. We're looking forward to it. Some incredible items. So thank you for doing it. And I know the community thanks you too.
Thank you for having me.
So much.
And we do want to tell you about tomorrow night's event. It is from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., a pop-up sale on the second floor of Milk Boy on 11th and Chestnut. Gently used beautiful dresses, shoes, boots, sunglasses on the ladies' side, an autographed starter jacket from Fletcher Cox on the men's side, and players such as Cox, D'Amico, Cutter Barwin, Zach Ertz, and Cedric Thornton, just to name a few, will be in the house. The link is going to be full of excitement today as Shady McCoy and the Bills come calling. Thanks for watching this edition of Eagles Game Day Kickoff. John Clark returns following the Patriots-Texans. Enjoy your football Sunday, everyone.